Hello class 7 students, welcome back to the class of geography. Today we are going to start chapter 4, major landforms. Learning objectives, weathering of rocks, working of ice, working of river, working of wind, working of sea waves. Let's warm up. Look at the following pictures and write their names. Application skills. Glaciers are called rivers of ice. Like a river flows and falls in steep mountains, making a waterfall, glaciers make a ice fall. The bed of the glaciers get narrow and descends rapidly, causing ice fall like a waterfall. One of the most dangerous ice falls is the Khumbu ice fall. It is very difficult terrain and is located at the Nepali slopes of Mount Everest. Hikers have to cross through this terrain to complete the Everest summit. It is considered the most difficult and dangerous terrain because of the continuously moving Khumbu glacier that moves 3 to 4 feet each day. Hikers try to cross this terrain very early in the morning because of the partial freezing of the ice. Answer the following questions. A. What is an ice fall? B. Where is Khumbu ice fall? C. Why is it dangerous? Try to answer these questions by yourself. Movements of plates up and down form mountains and rift valleys through disasters. The exogenic forces act upon the surface of the earth. Unlike endogenic forces, they do not contribute to the movement of plates but the formation of landforms on the surface of the earth like river valleys, sand dunes, delta, etc. In this chapter, we will learn about these major landforms and how they are formed. The exogenic forces act in two ways: weathering, erosion. In these images, you can see the weathering of rocks. Weathering is a process of breaking of rocks on earth due to heat, cold, frost, chemical reactions, plants and animals. The rocks are not moved from their original place but they are broken down off from the top. The extreme conditions of weather or other natural forces help in weathering. There are three types of weathering: physical, chemical and biological. Weathering of rocks. Erosion is a consequence of weathering. When rocks are weathered, they are then carried away by the forces like rivers, wind, sea waves, ice, etc. and are deposited elsewhere. When this weathering, erosion and deposition happen, it results in the formation of different landforms. Now, let us study the formation of landforms by different factors like rivers, wind, sea waves and ice. Fact file. Physical weathering involves a cold and dry environment, whereas chemical weathering involves the hot and wet environment. Both physical and chemical weathering works with biological components and enhance each other's working. Working of a river. A river is formed when several small streams join together to form a single flowing body. The point where these streams join and form a river is called a source. From this source, the river flows through slopes of valley and joins a large water body like a sea or an ocean or a lake. A mouth is a place where the river stream joins the large water body. This is the picture of river joining large water body. The vertical fall of river forms a waterfall. A rapid is a steep segment of a swiftly flowing river in hilly areas. The rocks are eroded and deep valleys are formed known as V-shaped valleys. Once the river leaves the hilly areas and enters the plains, the flow of the river is slowed as the valleys get widened because of the continuous erosion on the banks of the rivers. The river starts to twist and turn and forms meanders, huge bands or loops. Fact file. The highest waterfall in the world is Salto Angel Falls in South America. It is 975 meter in height. Niagara Falls in Ontario is one of the highest waterfalls around the world. They are worldwide famous for their majestic beauty. In India, the highest waterfall is Kunchigal Waterfall in Karnataka, which is 455 meter high. The river banks are continuously eroded and the circular loops or bends deposit the eroded material more and more with gradual cut off from the main river, forming its own bow-shaped lakes known as Oxbow Lake. A floodplain is formed when the soil in large amounts settle on the valley floors. This is the picture of a meandering river. When a river overflows, the nearby areas are flooded, but the soil deposited on the valley floor is very fertile. Because of the deposition, the banks are raised high and are called natural levels. When the river approaches the sea, its flow decreases and it is divided into small streams called distributaries. The flow of the river is so slow that all the eroded material starts to deposit together between the distributaries. As each distributary has its own mouth, the triangular land with all the deposits is formed and is known as delta. Working of sea waves. Large water bodies like oceans and seas give rise to coastal landforms through erosion and deposition of rocks. Tides, storms, and currents further help in this process. When strong and high waves attack the rocks regularly, the rocks are cracked. These cracks are attacked again and again and gradually break the rocks from the weakest place. As the cracks become wider and larger, hollow cavities are formed on the rocks. These cavities are called sea caves. This is the picture of sea caves. Over time, the hitting of strong waves makes these cavities grow larger until only the roof of the rocks remain. An arch-type structure is formed and is known as sea arch. Further, the erosion takes away the roof and only the wall-like structures remain. These structures are called sea stacks. A sea cliff is a vertical wall of rock facing the sea vertically. This is the picture of sea arch and this is the picture of sea stack. Fact file. In the list of top famous beaches around the world, Boracay White Beach in the Philippines is at the top. Other beautiful beaches are Blue Lagoon in Turkey and Miru Island in the Maldives. Baga Beach in Goa is the most famous beach in India. This is the picture of sea beaches. Other than the erosional work of the sea waves, the depositional work forms beaches. Beaches are formed with a calm sea. The sand, gravel and pebbles are deposited on the shores with winds of low velocities forming the beaches. A sandbar is a deposited land on the seafloor near the coast. Sometimes a small water body is trapped by sandbars and coast and behaves like a lake. These water bodies are called lagoons. Fact file. There is a glacier in the Himalayan mountain which is known as the third pole. The original name of this glacier is Siachen Glacier, being the site of the world's highest helicopter landing pad, helipad, made by India for military emergencies. Work of ice. Ice work at high altitudes. When snow falls on the high altitudes and latitudes, the whole land is covered with ice. This is called a snowfield. A glacier is a river of snow and ice that moves very slowly. A glacier is responsible for erosion and deposition and transportation of materials. This process cannot be completed by mere ice. This is the picture of a snowfield and this is the picture of lagoon. Rock fragments from the mountain slopes fall into the moving ice. This acts as erosion. They are constantly rubbed against the sides and floors of the valley, thus forming a U-shaped valley. It is flat-bottomed and almost vertical sides. A cirque is a chair-like depression formed by the curving of deep hollows along the slope of mountains. A tarn is a small lake of melted ice filled with these depressions. The glacial deposits on the sides and floors of valleys because of the melting of glaciers are called ice valley. Fact file. Loess is dust particles deposited extensively and are porous in nature. They are formed when the wind carrying the eroded rocks are obstructed by forest, building, etc. China is the host to a vast amount of loess. Working of wind. The process of erosion and deposition by the wind takes place in desert areas. The vast land with no vegetation helps winds to blow freely and carry with them particles that erode the rocks. The work is not done at great heights, but from 25 to 75 centimeter only. The rocks are eroded mostly from the bottom upward, then from the top downward. This is the picture of a ice valley, thus creating a mushroom-like shape of the rocks. The rocks are then called mushroom rocks. The wind transports large amount of rocks materials and deposits it in large fields, making hills. These hills are called sand dunes. When the wind is slowed and is not able to carry the eroded material any further, after covering long distances, the coarse particles are deposited in the form of hillocks. Sand dunes formed vary in height from a few meters to 300 meters. They are formed in groups and have a characteristic to migrate in the direction of the wind. This is the picture of a mushroom rock. Value and life skills. Human beings have attained the first place in polluting the environment. The waste comprising plastic, bottles, polybags, and other non-degradable products are found everywhere. It is now a situation of emergency that we should take care of our environment before we put ourselves in unfavorable living conditions. Keeping our environment clean and hygienic should be our top priority. Recapitulation. Weathering is a process of breaking of rocks on earth due to heat, cold, frost, chemical reactions, plants and animals. Erosion is a consequence of weathering. A river is formed when several small streams join together to form a single flowing body. A mouth is a place where the river streams join the large water body. Once the river leaves the hilly areas and enters the plains, the flow of river is slowed down as the valleys get widened because of continuous erosion on the banks of the rivers. The river starts to twist and turn and forming meanderings. When the river approaches the sea, its flow decreases and it is divided into small streams called distributaries. When the cracks become wider and larger, hollow cavities are formed on the rocks. These cavities are called sea caves. The erosion takes away the roof and only wall-like structure remain. These structures are called sea stacks. A glacier is a river of snow and ice that moves very slowly. The glacial deposits on the sides and floors of the valleys because of melting of glaciers are called glacial moraines. The rocks are eroded mostly from the bottom upwards, then the top downwards, thus creating a mushroom-like shape of the rocks. The rocks are then called mushroom rocks. Thank you class. Let's meet again in the next chapter.